We lived in the same neighborhood. In fact, we just lived right around the corner from each other. Our mothers were friends. We played together as children. We were in the same carpool. We go way back. Now, fast forward just a little bit past our teenage years. Julie meets Louise in New York City. They fall in love. They get married. In fact, Louise made Julie's wedding dress. And his tattoo. At that time, after that, they moved to Louise's hometown in the Dominican, and they ministered and worked with young baseball, the youth. Julie has a very diverse background in her ministry. She ministered to the Muslim community in New York City. She lived in the Middle East, where she learned the Arabic language fluently. So we welcome them today, and we're anxious to do a good service in the action.
Well, that was a lovely introduction. Thank you, Judy. Life has a way of surprising us, and things come full circle, and I never dreamed that my childhood friend that lived around the corner from us, my parents were friends, my mom and her mom, and someday, years later, be speaking in a church that they belong to. So it's a privilege for us to be here, and thank you for your invitation for us, giving us a few minutes of our time. My husband is from the Dominican Republic. He was born and raised there, and then was in New York City for about 14 years working as a tailor. That's where the wedding dress and so on came in. That was, but he originally was a professional baseball player. And you know, baseball players, he's going to give his testimony about that right now, but their careers can be quite short. And he actually learned tailoring from his mother. So when he went to New York, he started working with someone there that was making, his boss had them, 6 of them from the Dominican Republic, making custom-made suits for athletes and singers and rappers and people like that. So he wasn't necessarily earning all the money, but he learned how to make very beautiful suits and my wedding dress. So I'm going to let him give a little bit of his talk because it kind of ties in with how we ended up in the Dominican Republic.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Julie Anil. I'm born in Dominican Republic, the land of the baseball special. Any woman wants to get one boy play baseball. So I want to tell you something about my life. I come to Christ. After 9 years, I played baseball in the Dominican Republic. Practice after school every day, so Monday to Monday, 2 or 3 hours every day. But in 1977, the USA bring the news coming 2 teams for Major League. One is from Canada, Toronto, and the other one is Seattle. I think so this is a great opportunity for me for coming to play baseball professional in USA. The scout coming to the Dominican Republic, but they did a meter for the lot of guys and made a test. Many guys passed the test and I passed the test.
Yeah.
But the scout said, I can sign to you because you are short. It's terrible for me. I was I give my glove, my uniform, my spikes, and the other guy. Said, I go my home, I never ever more practice baseball. I talked to my mother. My mother said, okay, you have to continue your life. Go to the school, continue to your school and university. But I want to, first condition is good school. The good school in the Dominican Republic is private. Everybody has to pay for every month. In this moment, I pay the school is $10. But my father is a barber shop. But he's a barber. He has a barber shop in the house, and he paid the mortgage for the house, buy the food, and pay the bills. He said, I don't have money for pay the private school for you. But I said, I don't care, I work. I'm looking for the private school, the best private school. In this moment, the Dominican Republic is Pico Public School. After 6 or 7 months, I don't have money because my work is slow. I don't have money for pay the class. I think so. I lost the year. But somebody coming to me and told me, Guy, I know you work for pay the class. I know you don't have money and you fail too. I pay for you the rest of the year and the next year too, but you know how to work for stuff. Well, this actually taught me her. An investigation about this people, this man is the pastor of the church. Of course. Next Sunday, I get up early, come into the church. Every Sunday, he teaches to me about the Bible, pray, and know the Christ. And Sunday afternoon, we visit at the prison and the hospital. Pray for everybody. And this moment, Christ comes. I kept being Julie. I think so. This is a great opportunity for me. I'm doing somebody did for me. A teacher about the Bible, and pray, and everybody knows Jesus. This is the kids in the Dominican Republic.
So what we will do is, well, as Judy mentioned prior to that, I really was not expecting to end up in the Dominican Republic because I had lived in New York and the Middle East for so long as a single missionary, working in the Muslim world and working with other missionaries who had all been in Islamic countries. And that was really the major part of my life. So when I got married, I was ready to actually leave the ministry and do whatever. I wasn't getting married, so my husband fits into my agenda, but I wanted to be sure to be available to what God had with us and then maybe in another direction. And he started, as Louise started getting to know our team and seeing how Campus Crusade for Christ kind of carries out their ministry and how we reach people and share our faith. He said, why don't we go back to the Dominican Republic? It's one thing I know a lot about is baseball, and it would be an open door to share Christ and good character with the kids. So it was a big decision for me because I wasn't just moving to another state, I was moving to another country. And we had decided that we would make it a permanent move because in my mission experience over the years, I had seen so many, over and over again, missionaries going and they stay for so many years and everybody gets used to them and then they go back to the States or they go back to Europe where they're from. Or even in our situation, people come down and give baseball clinics 2 or 3 months, and then the kids get used to them, and then they leave. So since my husband was from there, I thought, well, at least he will know how to manage the culture and manage the adjustments that were, for me, in the beginning, the first 2 years, quite a big adjustment, you can imagine. It's a poor country, but a very, very open country spiritually. And I'm going to show now a few slides. We're living in a town that is not touristy whatsoever. It's not on the coast, which is where all the tourists like to go, but it's a big baseball town. And just to give you an example, when we were there, the first few months we were there, we took some training that Campus Crusade gives. We're with the national team in the Dominican Republic, they're Dominican. And the center of Campus Crusade is in the capital, which is where this first frame is. And we took some training on how to first go into, we could have all the freedom to go into public high schools and public universities and share. First, we go in sharing good character, the importance of having, not cheating, not lying, not stealing, fair play to your, of course, with the kids on the ball field. And we were taking this training, and then we weave the gospel into that. So the next frame shows us, this is last year of high school kids. And so we have more freedom there actually to go in to the universities than we do in this country now. And then the next frame is just after we spent the afternoon with them. That's the group that we were the students. And this is, even though it's a public high school, one of the nice things in the Dominican Republic is everybody wears the same uniform, even though it's not a private school. So they don't have to worry about everybody trying to outdress the other one. And the next frame will show you, these next few frames are just to show you how much they love baseball. This is a game that we went to in a fairly large town, and it shows you the conditions that they play. They don't have grass even to slide in on. The next one shows it's just a gravel. The baseball field is just gravel. And they play hours and hours and hours after school. Sometimes we've seen kids play barefoot. And then the next frame shows this kid, and his baseball glove is just falling apart. And I asked him, I said, "Is this your glove?" And he said, "No, it's my friend's glove. He lends it to me when I'm playing." And that's actually, Luis says, it's actually what has made Dominican players such good players, because the conditions are so challenging. Because, I don't know if you realize it, but the Dominican Republic has the most baseball players outside of Americans in the major league. And then the next frame, I think, is the man off to the right is his very first trainer that he worked with. He's still there. He's still got a group of kids. You know how kids are we work with 6 to about 15, 16 years old, and then they start to move on to a different level. And kids come in, kids go out, kids grow. And a lot of what Luis does is, in the next frame, well, the next frame shows Luis with his training for the kids. But a lot of what he does is making uniforms for the kids, and I'll show you, that will come along in a minute. Now this is a case in point. This team is the town right exactly next to where we live. And this is another group that we work with. The man off to the left in the orange jersey, he had been with the St. Louis Cardinals. So he was good enough to reach the major league, but then he started using his time and money and everything quite unwisely. And he started taking girls out and all this and spending money. And he lost his discipline, and so he ended up having to leave the major league. And he's now living, he's still very interested in baseball, he's very good at it, and obviously he was able to work, play with the Cardinals. But he's living in subsidized government housing. You can imagine how much they make and how fast they can go through their money. And that's part of what we teach the kids, that if you ever start making money, learn to save and learn to, when they become believers, give back to God, to learn about tithing and the importance of giving back to God, what God has given to you and has made allowance for you. Next grade, this is Luis, and me, this is another one of his trainers. When we went back, he was able to continue working with 3 of his trainers that he had grown up with and had helped him in baseball. And they just let us work open arms. One has become a very strong believer, and the other 2 are still secular, and let us come and give talks to their teams all the time. And the next frame will show you that this particular talk is based on Luke, the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And we give examples, and you can see the kids are all very respectfully listening, and they teach them to listen and to be quiet and to respond when we give them the chance to. And we give examples like if one of you kids, say you receive a baseball that's signed by a major league player, and you have it in your room, and then you have a friend over, and if your friend steals that baseball, how does that make you feel? And we have a lot of different examples, and you can see. Then afterwards, we always take a nice chest of soda and ice and have a time with the kids. And then that's his trainer on the far other side, and then they all go out on the ball field and play after they've given us time. And then a lot of my ministry is just working with the families and the kids that are part of a lot of them, the moms that are part of the kids that my husband works with. And we're here, they're the one family that's become very close with us. And so what they do is when we have them over, the kids are so used to just running around kind of wildly. And we've learned to teach them how to play card games and table games. And then we usually Luis usually fixes something to eat for them because he's a very good cook with the national dishes that they all love. And here's another, a whole different place. The other group that we were with was in the stadium where we live. And then this is a place where one of his really close trainers has his group, meets there, and then there's a baseball field right outside. This is on the 2nd floor. So we give our talk, and then the kids are, listening and responding. And you can go to the next frame, just sort of go through. There they are. That's the trainer off to the right. And he has them all sit there very quietly, very respectfully. And there they are. And then they all go out and play on the ball field. And there we are, some of them. And now these are some of the uniforms. For $10, we can outfit one kid with caps and a jersey. And Luis will make them he knows where to go to another town to get the material at cost. And then a lot of times, if a church or a family donates a certain amount of money, then we ask them, would we be able to stamp the name of your church or the name of the family on the back of the ad. And sometimes they think, oh no, you don't need to do that. He said, well, it's a big conversation piece when the kids want to know, who are these people that have provided for us? And the same thing with donating baseball equipment. We've had lots of baseball equipment, used baseball equipment donated. And this is another one of his coaches. And now this coach he's a believer, and that's his team. On the front is the name of his league, And then on the back are the adult jerseys that Luis has made. And then on the back, whoever's helped pay for these caps and jerseys. And they're the caps, and each of the caps have the name of the league on it, the letters of each league. There's 3 leagues that basically he works with, and it makes up about 500 kids. And there we are giving them their caps. And, they always have a little ceremony, and then they also twice a year have a time of trophies where we give trophies for all kinds of reasons. Who has best, who plays the most fairly on the ball field, and who's advanced best in pitching or catching or whatever it is. And then this, I don't want to take all the time, but this is a placard that we use, and it explains, like for an example, it says, at the top it says, before speaking, try to listen. Before you spend, save. Before you write something, think about it first. And I'm thinking how many emails we fire off, sometimes in anger, or if we had to sit down and write that letter, we would be probably a lot more careful about what we write. In the middle it says, your thoughts, your words, your actions have power and create conditions that will result in the rest of your life. Before criticizing, try to wait. Before praying, forgive. And these are all, let me expand on these thoughts and weave the gospel through. And then, I think your pastor is thinking of maybe coming down and seeing what we're doing. So if any of you want to come down, and we've hosted several different mission groups in the 4 years that we've been there. And we actually next summer already have another group that has marked out a date that they want to come from New York City. And this is our pastor off to the right. And he's very connected to the authorities. He's on the International Human Rights Commission, as well as being a pastor. And he has he's allowed to give us 1 hour on national television when any group comes down. So he gives us the whole hour. Of course, he's the one hosting it. And so this group came down, and Luis made all of our jerseys for the week, and they came down with their instruments on the plane, and they were able to take the whole hour on national television. And you can just go through those quickly. And a lot of them gave their testimonies that we have through interpretation. And one of the girls had actually memorized her testimony and gave it in Spanish. There she is right there. She's a 16-year-old. This particular group were all from age 12 to about 22. It was an inner city church in Philadelphia. And so they came down. There's the pastor and their pastor. Oh yeah, and then he works we also, part of our time, we went to a high security prison. We were able to give testimonies and a talk. And a very powerful experience for all of us. And then this is the chief of the police general for our whole region. And the pastor got an audience, and we were able to go in and pray with him and talk with him. And he was very, very appreciative that we wanted to pray for him. And we told him that we realized his job must be very, very difficult. And that we'd like to pray. He said he'd appreciate that very much. And the next frame just shows Luis with the chief of police in general. And there's the group again. And then we have just 2 or 3 more you can go through. This is another, this is a ministry in our church, and that's the kids. They are very involved in Vacation Bible School, so they came down with well prepared with all their dramas, silent dramas, to communicate the gospel. So, I think I want to close with one story. Just recently, about 2 or 3 months ago, one of the mothers came in. Usually they drop the kids off, and they have their session with us, and then they go out and practice baseball all afternoon. And one mother stayed, and she said, no, I understand there's a couple here. He's Dominican, but I think his wife is American, and they used to live in New York City. As he happens to be here, and the coach said, yes, that's Luis right over there. So she went over to him and she said, I wanted to thank you. Somehow, someone from your connections in the United States provided a baseball glove for my son, and she said the glove fit him perfectly, and it was like new, and it was a glove that we could never have afforded to buy him, and he's never had his own glove. And I wanted to come and just thank you for providing that. And she said, and he also says that he tells us about Jesus, and we like it when we go back and get to hear more about Jesus. So you never know what God does in someone's heart, but that's always very encouraging. So thank you.
I'm from Corpus Christi, and so when we went over to Dominican to visit with them, we asked them, what can we take, what can we bring you? And they said, baseball gloves, anything that has to do with baseball. So Chuck and Judy went out, and I think y'all were the ones that they brought so many things from your congregation. We did a few things in Corpus Christi, but the majority of it, and there's still some more in the back of the car that's getting ready to be shipped over to the Dominican. So I just wanted to thank you for all the things that y'all gathered for their ministry.
Oh, yes, thank you. I did not realize your captain invited. So thank you, Marcia, for
Well, this is a good time for me. I'm really glad today to be able to introduce to you Viktor and Sabo. We've known them now for over 20, 24 years. God's used them just in great ways throughout the former Yugoslavia area, and new churches and the growth and raising up young men and women that are helping to lead the churches there. And so Viktor's going to come now and share with us this morning.
Good morning. It's a big privilege and honor to stand here. I think I have been here in this church over 10 years or so, probably even more. But this morning I forgot my watch, so I hope you brought your lunch. And I thought the joke I can be long, but I am not. When this year, my wife Ksenia and I, we have been celebrating the 40th wedding anniversary, and so we were thinking somehow stop and just to reflect back on our life and our ministry. We are coming from Serbia, from the north part of Serbia, and I'm there in the ministry for over 35 years, and so at this time of year we just now came just to relax a little bit, and the best place to relax is the good company here in Texas. We love that here, and especially when I see Eddie, I have to tell you something about him. When I see him, for me, that's just remembering how God has listened to our prayers. In 1999, communism has stopped in Eastern Europe, and we were living in this communist country, Yugoslavia, and the people started to open up for everything, for Eastern religions, for for Christianity, for anything. And we have seen that there's an openness, so we were now starting to reach out to the people, but we were needing a big help. We needed help. I remember those days, sometimes I was preaching every week 5 times or 6 times, so I was really needed someone to come and help me in my little church where I was working there, ministering there. And I remember the day when I kneeled down in my office and I was praying, Lord, I need someone to come and help in the ministry, especially with young people and their music. And about half a year later, God has sent us Eddie and his family. So since that time, we are friends, and when anytime I see him, I remember in that time that God has provided us help when we need it. And they have been with us for about a year, and really we have touched many young people. He was often in the street witnessing, playing music in the street, and God has used them very much in that time. Somehow in our country, in Serbia, we are in a somewhat similar situation than in those years. But I am now again praying, God send us someone who will help us. Because the people are open and we have so many opportunities in different areas. One of the areas for about a year now we are facing is the migrants from the Middle East. They are coming through our city because our city is a border city toward Hungary. And these days, any given days, between 500 and 1,000 people will be in our city from Syria, from Afghanistan, from Pakistan, from other countries. And very often they are coming without anything. Some of them have money, but most of them have not. And cold weather has started already in our country. It's very cold now. And my co-workers were writing me while we are on this trip that they were giving food and help to the migrants. And a lot of the children were without shoes and without coats. So this is a big challenge for us to reach out to these Muslim people. Other area where we are challenged is the Gypsy community. Years back, about 12 years ago, I prayed one day for the Gypsies. That time the Gypsies started to open up for the gospel, and we were facing them that they were coming to us. But first I was thinking, I don't hate the Gypsies, but somehow I'm not ready to go out to them. This people group is very neglected in our society in Eastern Europe. They are on the edge of the society. But one day I prayed, God, open my heart, give me love, that I can reach out to these people. And the Lord has done it. And now we have lots of Gypsies in our church, but in our area, there are many other Gypsy churches started, and God has used me kind of an apostolic figure among the Gypsies to reach to them. And beside that, I'm a pastor church in the north part of Serbia. I also lead a network of churches in Serbia. And because I'm ethnically Hungarian, I also have some ministry in Hungary as well as in Serbia. And this year we started also to reach out something toward Bosnia and Macedonia. So I don't want to use the time now to talk so much about the ministry. I wrote actually some pictures on this piece of thing, but but I would love to share a little bit from the Word of God, because I think we need Sunday morning we want to listen also to the Word of God, what God is telling us, what is He doing with us, where He is wanting to leading us. And I just want to mention to you one verse from Gospel of Mark, the chapter 4 and 35th verse. So chapter 4, number 35. And that day, when evening had come, He said to them, "Let us go across the other side." And leaving the crowd, they took Him with them into the boat, just as it was. And other boats were with Him. And a great windstorm arose, and waves were breaking into the boat, so that the boat was already filling. But He was stood stern asleep on the cushion. And they waked Him up and said to Him, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" We know all this beautiful story, and just some things I want to pick up from here, that we see something. Every one of us, we are looking in one direction, very much what we like. I remember one brother in our church, he always saw everything what needs to be repaired. He was always just looking to that what needs to be repaired. If he would come to the church, he would immediately saw that something is wrong, the lights are out, or the door is not locking well, so he immediately would repair it. If he would come to my home, sometimes he would bring some tools with him just to repair things. Some of us then, we are like my wife, probably all the ladies, they like decoration, just to make it nice, And then years back when I was in Texas with my friend from Serbia, we were listening to the young people, what they are talking. And in Texas we heard the young people talking between each other, let's start a business. That was kind of a buzzword. From here we went up to Boston, Massachusetts, and in the church there we were listening again, and they were talking, let's get a degree. So every one of us, we tend to focus on one or two things. And that has good part in it, because we are usually looking after what we like. But sometimes, in today's societies, we are becoming very independent, and we think about ourselves. My need, my problem. My need, my problem. My life. And Jesus, He wants us to take out sometimes from that position, because He wants that we see something else also. So sometimes He will take us to a new situation where we have to open our eyes in a different ways. And this story, what I read from Mark chapter 4, is such a story that Jesus, He told to His disciples, okay guys, let's go to the other side. Because He wanted to move them out from the situation they were. And so God is sometimes taking us, you and I, on a journey. Because He knows that we were so much one-sided, and we just think one way and see only one thing. But God wants that we open our eyes and that we can see more. And one of the things what He wants often to see us mostly, and that is that in the life we have to learn that we are not alone and that we are not in the center. Because, as I said, often we think that we are the important, my need, my situation, my life, my problem. And sometimes we are learning on our journey that the routine, what we are, and the practice, what we are doing for many years, somehow is not working anymore. Because our journey has took us into a storm, as in this story in the Bible. They went out into the lake, and these guys, the disciples, they have done that probably 3-4 times weekly, that journey into the lake. So that for them was something regular, something normal. But this time they realized that their routine is not enough, and the way they were seeing themselves was not enough. And suddenly they realized that they are lost, that they cannot go any more further with what they knew, because they were in a danger because of the big storm. And in that realization, when they saw that they themselves are not enough to solve the problems, they cannot fix this storm, they cannot fix themselves. Now they turn suddenly to the Lord and said, Lord, help us, we will perish. And the Lord stood up and He commanded to the sea, to the storm to stop. And this is what the Lord wants often in our lives, that we realize that we have to cry up. Because the situation, probably personally or corporately, and sometimes even nationally, the whole country can get into a situation that we have to cry up. Because anymore we cannot fix the thing around us. And sometimes we think, oh, we know we can do it, we can fix everything, we can get along. But the life is such that God wants us to take to that situation, to that corner, when we have to realize, Lord, help me, because I will perish otherwise. And in this situation, the Lord stood up and commanded to the sea. And this is what then the disciples started to see. Oh, this person can stop even the storm. And that realization is so important in our lives, in our communities, in our families, that in our situation, when there's a storm, and the storm can be in your business life, in your family, in your health, it can be politically, and it can be all sorts of things. And when we realize that in this situation, God is in control, and I can turn to Him, cry out to Him, and He will reach down, and He will help me. Probably the situation will be not solved as I am imagining, but God will take us through. God will find a way to keep us safe, to get on the other side. And this is so important today, that we realize that God is in control in any situation, in our life, and also corporately in our land. In the 90s, we were going through very hard time in Serbia and Yugoslavia, going through a civil war, ethnic cleansing, and all horrible things were happening in that land. And so many times we couldn't really understand what's going on, what will happen with us. We went through different seasons. I remember one my colleagues. She was a pastor and her husband in Moscow in Bosnia, and their house and the church building was put on fire, and they hardly escaped the death. They left, but all their belongings was burned there. They left Bosnia and lived in Zagreb, and she was for years bitter. But later on, she wrote a book, and the title of the book was The Blessings of War. And that's oxymoron. That cannot be going together, war and blessing. But somehow God blessed them and used that situation that in spite of everything what they lost, they could come up and they saw that the Lord is with them in all situations, and He has led them to the other side and gave them blessings after blessings. And in this story, the disciples, when they saw that Jesus has the victory, that Jesus is on the throne still, that He has everything under control, they got to the other side. And this is the next thing what God wants us to see. After we have seen Him, that He is on the throne, that He has everything under control, that He is able to calm the storm, the next thing what God wants us to see, that there are other needs also. As they came to the other side of the lake, they came to the place Gadara. And there was a lost man who had his own storm. He was demonized. And he lived a very, very bad outcast life. He had his storm. And from there, they went to a place where that lady who were ill for 12 years approached Jesus in the crowd. And Jairus, whose daughter was ill. And all stories are next to each other in the Bible. And the Lord also wants us that we see that in our life, we are not alone. And sometimes even if we get into the storm, the life is not such that, okay, Lord help me in this storm, and then the calmness is coming. And then after a few years, another storm comes. Oh Lord, again, help me out from this storm. And sometime later, there's another storm. Oh Lord, help me out from this storm. The life is much more than that. We have to see that there are lots of storms around us. That often other people are in the storm, and Lord wants us in this, the next phase, that somehow we start to see the things from His eye, from His perspective. Because often we see everything from our viewpoint. But the Lord wants us to teach us that we start to see things from His perspective. And that will give us much more clarity and peace and purpose when we can start to see things from His perspective. And when we start to see things from His perspective, that will lead us to the next phase, the next situation, when we begin to do things what He wants that we do. That we see ourselves as a part of the solution to a situation. In our country, we had a small village not too far from us. And that village is people that are Montenegrins. There's a country of Montenegro, south part of Yugoslavia, and these people came up to live in the north after the Second World War. And these people were hard communists. There were 5 different churches in that little town. And the Germans who lived in that town, they had to leave after the Second World War. Montenegrins came up, and this whole town they said that people, the new people who came there, said we don't need churches. So they destroyed the Catholic Church, the Lutheran Church, the Presbyterian Church, everything was demolished. And for 50 years, there was no church in that city at all. But about a few years ago, one lady was saved there. And her whole family were these hard Montenegrins people who don't want to believe. But she could think about herself, yo, poor me, what will happen with me in this town where there's not one believer, and there's no one church, there's no pastor, no priest, no one where I can go and ask for help. This lady, she was alone, but somehow the Lord has given her eyes to see differently. So she was able to see from the eyes of the Lord what is in the town. So she started to pray for her city, to pray. And then part of her family was saved, some relatives, some friends, some neighbors. And recently, about a year ago, I was there for the opening of the first church in that town. And I was preaching on that meeting when we opened the first little church there, because she could understand that the Lord wants from her that she can do something for her people and not just standing there and saying, oh, pure me, what will happen with me? But she saw herself as a part of the solution, praying for others. And even today, that church, every member is carrying her gift of prayer. And anytime we go to them or they go to other church, everywhere they go, the members of the church, they will put on fire the people where they go because they are carrying that gift, but this lady was carrying it. Now she became a pastor, and that's the first woman pastor in our country, because the Lord really lifted her up and used her in that town where there was no church at all. And now there's a good, strong church there. Another example, and I will finish with this, is a pastor from Hungary, my friend, he's from Budapest. And in the history, there was a lot of enmity between the Serbians and the Hungarians. Hungary lost part of their country, part of their land in 1918, when Austrian-Hungarian Empire ceased to exist. And Hungary lost 2/3 of their territories. And Yugoslavia started to exist from that time. And the place where I'm living now, that was in the past belonged to Hungary. So the Hungarian people from Hungary, they didn't like the Serbians and didn't like the Romanians who took land from them. So there was a lot of enmity during the history. But this pastor, he had an idea. He was praying, Lord, how can I change this? I don't want to pay to the Serbians. I'm a believer, I'm a pastor, and how can I change this? He started to see to the eyes of the Lord, to the neighboring nation. And then he got an idea. Let's go against that enmity between those people, that he can go in the opposite spirit. So he came to me because we knew each other. He said to me one day, 10 years ago, listen, I don't know the Serbian pastors, but we, 2 pastors from Hungary, we want to bless the pastors of Serbia. So you please bring together in one place the pastors of Serbia with their wives, a group of them, like 15 pastors and their wives, and we will pay for a hotel and we will do a nice retreat. And we will pay everything. We will come, just give a time of rest to the pastors of Serbia. And this way we started this ministry to blessing the pastors in other nations. So they came and I got together the pastors and wives. That was 10 years ago, and every year in July we are doing this camp, this retreat in a nice hotel, where the Hungarian pastors are coming and they are still blessing us in this way that they will pay for the bill, and we will be together, pastors of Serbia, with our wives for the retreat. But this year we are started to do the same now for the pastors of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Bosnia and Herzegovina is a very difficult place. That's a Muslim country predominantly, and there are only 700 believers in all of Bosnia among almost 5 million people. So Bosnia is a big mission field, but we were able to start this ministry over in Bosnia also. So we are very much in this move to bless other nations now. My young people from our church this summer, we sent them to Macedonia. There was an outreach mission week, and our young people went there. And next year we will go to Montenegro, because Montenegro, that's another country in the Balkan. Only 200 believers in the whole country. All of them others are Muslims, are Orthodox believer, but that's another story. They don't believe in Bible. And anyway, I just to ask you that if you remember us in your prayers over in former Yugoslavia, in Serbia, that you pray for us. It was a great time for me to stand here and share with you from the word, these few words. And remember, life will not be the same every time or everywhere. But we are coming into the different stages, and we can run into a storm. And probably this storm will be coming from the Lord, because He wants us to teach something. That we start to see some, first of all, Him, that He is on the throne, that He has everything under control. Secondly, that we cry out to Him, that He can save us, that He can lead us through that difficulties, then that we can see things from His eyes, from His perspective, and then that we see ourselves as people who can be a part of the solution, that we can start to do what He wants us to do. And then we will have the full joy when we see what is the purpose of God with us on the earth. Amen. Lord Jesus, we are standing here in this congregation. We are thankful for this opportunity that we could open the Word of God this morning. Thank you that we understood that sometimes you are taking us out to a situation where the routine will be not enough, but we will get into a situation where we have to cry out, Lord, help us, Lord, help us. And Lord, watching the political situation also in this country, we can probably say, Lord, help us. Lord, help us. We need your grace, we need your mercy, we need your leading, we need your protection. And also in our private life, there are so many challenges on a job and everywhere around us, with a family and probably health. And we are crying out this morning, Lord, for your help, for your grace, that you lead us through this difficulty, that you show yourself great among us, Lord Jesus. And we are thanking for every blessing, for everything that we learn on our journey. Thank you for opening our eyes, that we can see that there are other storms around us. And help us, Lord, that we can see with your eyes, and that we understand what is our purpose on this earth. What do you want from us? How can we be answer on the problem? How can we be in your hand as a tool? Thank you, Lord, for blessing us. Thank you for leading us. Thank you, Lord, for your will. And we just want to praise you because you are still on the throne and you are full of mercy. Amen.